Hey Brianna, it's Dr. Scott, and I have some feedback for you on your visual analysis. Just a quick reminder, in the essay I'm looking for a thesis statement, something that's an argument that's focused, that has clear reasons that are supporting it. I'm also looking for your use of details to back up that thesis statement, and also looking at your ability to organize your paragraphs and have a good reason of why you're going from one paragraph to another. Also taking a look at paragraph integration and then MLA formatting, a semicolon. The use of a visual. So I'm not going to get to all of those items. I can chat with you individually after you've revised a bit more about maybe paraphrases and organization and things like that. Really, what I want to talk to you about is your thesis statement and your use of supporting details. One thing that I love about your draft is that I think you've really nailed this, like being able to describe something in detail, how to use concrete details to support something that you're trying to say. The issue that I'm having right now is, so you have a thesis statement here. So you're saying that they succeeded and they did it through the use of these things, through color setting, descriptive detail, and that all together those things helped get across this interesting idea that you and I have talked about a couple times, that there's a different way of characterizing the town in peaceful times versus when we're going through adversity. The problem is with that argument, like I see that argument here, I don't see you come back to that argument in your body paragraphs very much. I see it later on in the essay, but when I read like this body paragraph here, for me I was looking for a place for you to say, here's why it's different, the way that they're characterizing us in peacetime and characterizing Portsmouth when something's going on. Here's why it's different. You get to it later, but you don't get to it early on in the essay. So for me, like when I'm reading a lot of this, I'm waiting for you to kind of connect these details back to your paper's overall thesis statement, and I'm not seeing it just yet. And that's kind of a big issue to address. So you're pretty far ahead of the game in terms that you have coherent paragraphs that are about a specific idea, but that specific idea is not necessarily connected to what the paper's overall argument is about yet. Like I'm not seeing the connection there. The connection is not very clear to me in places. It's clear later on, but it's not clear in these beginning paragraphs. So like when I read on page 2, this video does a great job portraying the use of color and how those colors impact your feelings. Like I kind of wanted you to explain how those feelings tie into, or that use of color ties into that really interesting idea that you have up here. Like what we focus on in good times versus bad. So I think it's part of the issue is in places you need to remind us how these ideas are related. In other places you need to explain to us how these ideas are related to that thesis statement that you have. So you have a great thesis statement, you have a great use of detail. That detail is not always explained in a way that connects everything back to the thesis statement. That's the big issue that I notice in your essay right now. That's probably the issue that's going to take you a fair bit of effort to kind of figure out. I see you doing it later on page 3, but I'm not seeing it all that much in some of the earlier paragraphs. So like when I read this body paragraph here, I kind of forgot actually what your thesis statement was for your paper. So there should be reminders, some explanations. So if you have some interesting detail, you're then explaining how that detail supports the thesis statement that you have. There are places in here like the weather and writing about that felt like a little bit of a stretch, although I totally agree with you because coming from Southern California, it's tough to deal with some of the weather that we have out here. But you're going to kind of need to, that felt like a little bit of a stretch, which maybe I can grant you if you're able to fix the thesis statement issue. Minor issue, the use of you, if you could revise that out of your writing. Viewers, visitors to Portsmouth, be kind of specific about who you think the audience was. By the time we get into page 3, we get really the only place where we're getting some close connection to the thesis statement, and it's kind of down here. And I wanted to see more of that. Like on the copy that I printed out to prepare my remarks for this video, I just wrote more in bold, like across all of this. And there really, for me, it felt like, okay, this is where Brianna is really kind of making a good argument. It's just, for me, I wanted that needs to be throughout the essay and not just kind of in a paragraph tucked away on the third page. So I'm excited about where this is going, to be honest with you. But it is going to take you a heavy lift to get these paragraphs focused more on your thesis statement. Right now, excellent use of details, but they're not always explained in relationship to the thesis statement. So that's my feedback for now. If you have questions, if you want to chat about your revision ideas, I'm happy to do that. I'll be in my office most of tomorrow morning doing a lot of videos like this. So if you kind of knock on the door a little bit and see if I'm there, or shoot me an email, we'll find a time to chat. All right, that's it for now, Brianna. I'll talk to you soon.